The more you try to keep me down and keep my head above the water, you can never hold me down. The more you try to block me out, that's where I kick the wall down. You can never hold me back. The more you try to put me out, the more I'll be blazing, it's too hot. The more you try to put me in the dirt, increase my worth, the expert. You see the hunger in the eyes of a survivor. Swallowed my pride, washed down with some saliva. Reinvented my whole life, mental MacGyver. One door shut, another open up wider. Listen, battle drums in the distance. Moving with enough force like army tank pistons. Pray for the strength of Jah to fight.
Hi everybody, it's Casey from Pinecase. It's Thursday, I was gonna say afternoon, but it's creeping on into the evening time. I have the one and only Caleb Hart with me tonight, and you know what is so crazy is that I've been engulfed in all of this like metal music and craziness lately, and all of a sudden I had this wonderful privilege to come and check it out what you were up to, and what a breath of absolute fresh air it is to listen to what you have going on. I got a little teary-eyed when I was listening to it for a few different reasons. But tell me about your experience at the Tidemark Theater, if you don't mind.
Oh yeah, that was a teary-eyed worthy one for sure. That one was in the height of COVID, like right around the time that they like allowed a few people to come to shows. I think it was 50, but separated and masked.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, and that it was quite a unique experience, of course, for all of us. That whole thing that happened, and then performing live for the first time since they had shut everything down. I believe that was that at the Tidemark Theater. So, what you don't see is me looking out at a big theater that could probably hold 600 people and seeing 50 people in their little 2 people, 3 people, their household.
Yeah.
Right? Scattered with masks on. I mean, I'm saying it right now is like, goosebumps and feeling back the feelings, and I was, there was a lot. It was arguably the lowest time of my life.
Right.
Yeah, so it was a lot to because usually I try not to pretend, I try to be my most authentic self, which you do see that in that performance for sure.
Yeah,
but part of it still felt like pretending because it wasn't what I was accustomed to, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. I can see that. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, I can see that because I was trying to I was like, what? I mean, to sit there and say like, that's my daughter, she might interrupt or whatever, you deal with it because I'm a dad or whatever you said. That was probably the most beautiful thing ever. And I was like, it's a great standard to have in a situation like that, in any situation like that, to say, what exactly you expect and it gave us a good sense of who you are. But because you said that, and the standard was so honest right from the get-go, when you followed up with how the pandemic affected your life and even how it made you feel in that room at that time, then as a consumer or as a guest, we had no choice but to take that just as serious as you were when you had talked about your daughter.
Right.
Really, I was like, oh man, like, did that paint a picture for me? I've been in the Tidemark many, 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 many times.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, I used to be the front of house manager there for like 7, 8 years. So I can tell you in that theater, I could tell you exactly what the green room looks like, how the orchestra pit is laid out. Like I know that building well. And I think maybe that's why it hit me the way it did, because I know exactly what you were looking at when you were describing it. And I was like, man, is that
it was a wild, like, and of course that duality of like oh my God, I'm so grateful right now to be able to do this,
Right.
mixed with why am I here right now? Like, what are we doing? Like, what is going on? You know? Um,
Because
yeah, that was a unique, yeah.
I think I want to say 467. Probably correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, 600 including
Okay.
staff, you know, texts and all that kind of stuff. So you're about right? 600 like all in. And when I think about picturing, because you said, I don't want to say, I'm not sure if I could say it the way you said it because you said it so beautifully. But when you said like, you know, like a few dozen people, and I was like immediately pictured what that looks like in that space. And
Yeah,
also,
because it was capped at 50, right? So, and I'm not actually sure the number because I'm not sure if 50 included me and my daughter and my girlfriend at the time and the sound tech and the light tech. I don't know. So I was just like, I know it was a few dozen people.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
30 to no more than 50. I knew it was no more than 50. That one I can guarantee. You know?
Right. Okay,
And
because that was
that's
kind of like
mad.
whether you were at a wedding or whatever you were doing, that was the cap.
Correct. It was like 50. No, but that one, no, I don't even think there were weddings yet. This one was like 50 if you had the space to have 6 feet between households or
Wow.
something. So, yeah, this wasn't just like 50 people could gather, you know, max. This was like early. This was like the first thing that they tried or whatever. I can't remember exactly what it was now, but I'm pretty sure it was like 50 if you could have 6 feet between households. I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
That's wild, Caleb. Do you understand though, like how absolutely important that is? Like, I mean, at Pinecase, all we do is music and mental health. Whether it's bringing music into mental health or mental health into music, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it both,
Totally.
but it doesn't really matter. We do both. But when you think about being one of the first artists to be able to be in that space or any space, and for those people to sit there, I mean, you kind of casually said like, well, if you're here for me or if you're just here to catch a vibe, like whatever. But I don't think in all seriousness, they were there for you, whether they were massive fans or not. And it's because you were willing to be in that vulnerable position and yada, 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 and all this business and stuff. But
yeah, totally.
From a very serious standpoint, how important is that? Like, that is so important that you were willing to do that or that you were willing to like push through some of that stuff because people needed that. We needed that. The community
You know
needed
something that something that nobody knows actually. I got fired from my job that night.
Wow.
The job that I had to get because of COVID to take care of my daughter that I'm pretty sure I mentioned in the performance. Yeah, because the my boss was like, I mean, he was a real piece of work regardless, but his justification was if I could leave on a Friday to go do a show, then why should he keep me employed? So
Okay, so I know this very well. And I recently been excused from my duties, which is fine with me because that I'm not there to be in a situation that is not cool. Like I've worked way too hard in my life to put myself out there like that.
totally.
But it's so crazy to me because what they don't understand or what he doesn't understand is how absolutely fundamental that is for the community. Like the Tide Mark brings art and culture all the time. It does a great job of that. But at that time when everybody is hurting, the fact that you were like making sacrifices for the greater good, whether they be selfish or not, like if he can't see that, then that those aren't your people.
Yeah. Precisely.
Yeah. Wild. So what have you been up to lately?
What have I been up to lately? I have been up to a lot actually. I'm recording a lot of music, which is incredible to get back doing that again. Yeah, I've been recording a lot, climbing with my daughter as usual, and then just like kind of have begun the summer touring, you know what I mean? I also launched my DJ project, Cabin Fever, which is cool. So I was doing some of that in the spring or like like late winter, early spring. I'm doing some of that this summer as well as Caleb Hart shows. So yeah, I have like 25 shows in
Wow.
the next couple months. So yeah, it's busy. Give
Yeah.
thanks. Yeah.
That's nice. So, I mean, obviously, like when we were talking about the Tidemark Theater, like that was, it was a low point for everybody, but it seems like you just kind of sprung back into it, right? Like you didn't really skip a beat when it came back around, or did it take a little bit of building to get up into these 25 shows type of thing?
No, I did 40 last year. 52 in all, but 40 in like the warm time.
All right.
Yeah, it was mad. So Jed, I'm so grateful. I'm so blessed, even being one of the people that were called to do something like the Tide Mark thing is such an honor, and I guess it's a testament to the amount of work that I've put in, whether it be like not just in one way, but work that I've put in every way. Just not just because I'm good at what I do, but because of every other aspect of it too. So yes, you could say I'm good at what I do, but then it's like, who will say yes? Who can we call? Well, who will do well and show up and do their due diligence to ensure that it's excellent, etc. I think I'm one of those people, so therefore I keep getting booked to give what your boys say, give thanks, like yeah, I mean, what a blessing, so that side of it really just went, it was like pandemic ultimate low. And then I'm a co-parenting single dad, so I wasn't really trying to get back on the road 180 250 times shows a year, right?
No.
It's unnecessary. So upped my price and
Yeah.
and do less shows. I love it. Nova loves it though. My daughter loves coming with me and to the shows, and so I try to do as many like all ages stuff as possible now, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
she actually probably likes it more than me.
Really?
Which is crazy. Yeah, she's like, if she finds out I'm going to perform at a show she can't come, I just get a little bad eye, like a little like, my baby, it's late and it's for adults. Oh, well, tomorrow do one for children, please.
Yeah. The all ages shows are so important. And when I like, for someone like me who's worked front of house my whole life, like, I love the 19 plus events because of the atmosphere, and you can get away with a little bit more when it comes to like content. Ticket sales usually go a little bit easier, but there is something to be said about the importance of an all ages event. It's so important to get youth involved. It's so important, especially as parents, to be able to offer it up to our kids, but also the young performers that need the inspiration and come and check it out.
Absolutely.
Do that, right? If we're not offering up all ages events, so
like back home it's very different back home in Trinidad and Tobago, because we have clubs which of course are 18 plus, right? But then pretty much everything else is all ages. Like it's not, and we don't even call it all ages. We just it is.
Oh,
yeah, it just is. So unless of course otherwise specified, so it's more like the opposite, where it's you expect all ages, and then there's the clubs, and then of course a big reggae concert like late at night or something that goes till 6 o'clock in the morning, or soca event or something, obviously wouldn't be cheering, but so there's certain things that you separate in that sense. But I grew up, whether it be on the outskirts of the concert or in the actual concert, I was on the stage.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then for that, this was like, I remember I was like, man, I don't even know, a teenager, and Spice and Pampute, like big dancehall artists, came to Tobago, and we was there. What, teenagers? Yeah, man. I didn't know. Had ID. What's that ID?
No one has ID. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's a different culture down there for sure.
Yeah, Canada has the rules down pat. It's like boop 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 boop. Which there's pros and cons to both cultures. Everything has the good and the bad and the ugly, just like any reality. But personally, I think that if I could choose, if I'm an adult, right, I'm a parent, and I could say, yes, I want to take the responsibility to have my child at this place.
Yeah.
And if there's rules to follow there, which there would be, then I think that makes more sense than saying thou shalt not allow someone below the age of 19. So I like those, I like the license all ages, where they respond, like Victoria Ska and Reggae Festival, for example. You put on a wristband that says you are 19 plus and you could buy a beer, right? At the actual festival grounds. There's some festivals like that in Canada, which is really cool, where you can take your child, you could even drink a beer, and you don't feel like torn, do we need childcare, or where's so and so gonna go? So I like those events a lot, and it promotes community, which is something that we really need, especially on the West Coast. It's a very cliquey kind of vibes here, so we need more community, and you can't segregate, the community just because you want to sell more drinks. That's crazy.
From a liquor licensing standpoint, anyway, that if you have youth there, the parents tend to drink a little less, and so even though
exactly,
like I get liquor sales, but the thing is that you can only sell so much booze before it becomes illegal anyway. So I mean, you really promote all the things that the liquor licensing or the special event licensing is looking for when you have a space where people have their children. It's just the name of the game, right?
The ones that are drinking their faces off aren't those of us that have to either drive or get a cab home back to our child or children.
Yeah.
So we come in with our kids equals 2 beers sold per person. Us not having an option equal us not coming whatsoever.
That's exactly.
So the people who go and drink are not parents, well, meaning the mass percentage, the larger percentage by a long shot, are people who are not going home to their child. That is, so your liquor sales actually likely would increase by how many parents times 2 drinks each or whatever, it depends, or 0. I mean, but you got the ticket sale times again like 60 parents or whatever it is, right? There's no way to know, but and then that child is raised seeing live music, DJs, whatever it is, seeing things happen, dancing, like all those things. So it's creating culture for the future too,
I've heard lots lately that Canada doesn't have a culture, and I was like, well, I mean, in a sense, we don't have like a huge identifying factors to a lot of things. I mean, like First Nations have, their culture, and I mean, we won't get into all of that, but I think that when we talk about like the reggae fest in Victoria, is that what it's called? Like, what's the actual name of that?
Victoria Ska and Reggae Festival.
Yeah. That one looks wicked. Like every time I see the advertising for that, because I think Mo Mashiri was a part of that one.
Yeah, man. I just saw that he was on the thing. Yeah.
Absolute legend. But I think like those because we're such a melting pot. I mean, we can take from other people's culture, but I think those are definitely the events that need to be getting pushed to like the forefront when we talk about any sort of thing that's happening downtown, especially because they're all ages event, but also just because like the conversations that happen there are just so interesting. Like they're conversations you're not necessarily going to get at a hockey game, right? Because you're going to get a totally different, and no shade to the hockey games, but when it comes to arts and culture, it doesn't really matter what art and what culture you're representing. It gets like the juices flowing for all arts and all cultures.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're fundamental.
I absolutely agree.
25 shows you said you got coming up? 25?
Yeah, 25 between I perform in Tobago next week twice. So from then till the end of August, 20 something.
Yeah.
My summer done start, so I've done a few already and then a few more coming in. So Yeah, 25 I think is an accurate number.
You got any in Alberta?
I just did Edmonton last weekend actually.
No, you didn't.
Africarnival.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course. Of course you were. Yeah. Well, I was busy anyway, so it wouldn't matter. But yeah, of course you were there. That makes sense.
Oh, is that where your base is, Edmonton?
I'm in Edmonton. Yeah.
Yeah, I got 4 songs recorded too.
Oh, you were hanging out at the studio while you were here?
Yeah, I worked with Tanika Charles, Uzila. Yeah. Then some rhythms from Aristotle from Melafreak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So you're for a couple of days then.
Yeah, I came for 3 or 4 nights. Yeah, got a lot done. It was real productive. Yeah. So vibes. Edmonton was like a kind of a not a second, I guess, home, but kind of a third home to me when I lived in Grand Prairie. Because it's like it's the big stop, the first big stop. Yeah. So we spent lots of time there in the early days with Tasman Jude and stuff. And then, yeah, just, I don't know, boy, Edmonton's art and cultural push is like massive. So it's actually such a blessed city for that. Like, I don't think they know what they have, if I'm being honest. Some do, but
I don't think they do either. It's absolutely crazy there. Every time I go into town, there's something popping off. I'm like, what is going on?
We played Cocktails and Jerk last year, right? And on that same weekend, I couldn't even list the things that they had. And every one of them had a good attendance because it's like you were just saying, like just catering to just bam, just like it's a melting pot. So it was catering to a bunch of different, things. It was full blown, yeah. And same thing happened last weekend. It was like so many things. Some of my friends were like, "Hey, bro, sorry I can't reach your set because I'm doing this thing, but let me link after." And blah blah blah. And it's like, yeah, from fashion to art to live music, DJing, whatever it is, it's like really dance, djembe, like African drums, and it was just yeah. And then I see, and then of course, all the algorithms is on the social media. So because I was in Edmonton, my Instagram and Facebook still showing me things to do in Edmonton now. And it's like, what the jail is this? I should go back to Edmonton. Damn.
You should come on back anytime, honestly. Like,
yeah, well, I have an inquiry for the end of August. They're just waiting to find out if they got some funding, But I might actually be back before the summer fully closes up. So stay tuned.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, keep me posted because I'm super curious. So come and check you out or whatever needs to happen there for sure. Because that'd be, I'm pretty far north, but it's not a big deal to get around. That's the thing about that city too, is like people can complain about it all that they want, but the way that they got the Anthony Henday set up and stuff, man.
Listen, I travel a lot and have traveled a lot. My tours from place to place were the cheapest. My airport to inner city, I was downtown, was cheap. When I say cheap, like compared to when you land in a spot, usually your Uber is $75 to $90. Like that's like from airport to a downtown of a city. It was like $48 or $43 or something. Like these guys must have loved me because I was tipping like I was rich. Because I felt blessed, but it's the same journey. It's the same 40-minute journey as almost every like city in the world. So I was like, yo, this is blessed. And then downtown was like $8, $6, $4 to different spots for Uber. I was like, this seems unreal.
Yeah.
It was blessed. And then it just reminded me, like even the way the Alberta Spotlight stuff, like series, and just we could talk for a full-blown hour about everything that happens in Edmonton just in June and still not touch everything.
Oh yeah, totally. Totally. So like Pinecase, we were at Decimate Metal Fest last weekend. We were doing harm reduction there, making sure people know that when they're doing things that they want to do, that they can do it safely, right? And we team up with like first aid to make sure that happens. And I was like, just like blinders on, like, okay, we got to get this festival done, yada yada. And I came home, turned my computer on, and it was like, Like my email was like lit right up. I was like, what in the heck is going on? There was like 6 more festivals that were like, hey, why are you guys able to come check us? This. And honestly, it wasn't even like a big deal. It was just like 6. There was festivals that had sold out, like completely sold out, and then piggybacked like a second festival off of them. That's how crazy it is out here. So no, seriously. So
See, like,
it's so,
what? That's mad.
right. So like what is it? Pigeon Lake Music Fest, which has got a wicked. It's like kind of some classic rock in there, like Trooper and stuff like that. But they
Yeah.
picked up a lot of local talent, which I was super excited about.
Nice.
Yeah, Cabral is going to be there. He opened for Dex back in September. He's a
Nice.
cool. So to have him play with like some of like the pretty serious names and stuff, I was like, man, get it, right? But they
Nice.
sold out so quickly that they called me today and said that they're going to be that they have like a showcase that they're doing like this coming week. They're like, yeah, we like it's so good. We decided to throw another thing together. It's like you're out of control. Like, what?
See what I mean?
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is incredible. What a like,
Place,
yeah,
it's
incredible.
They were reaching out, I guess, to like some of the corporate sponsors and stuff, and we're like, oh, we're gonna offer like a corporate package for some of our big, or a 2-for-1 for it, because they were trying to put it together so quick. But just the fact that that there's like businesses out there doing that, and then are riding high on the success, and then offer up another thing is just amazing.
Totally.
Like, oh, that's cool. We'll wrap it up till next year. They're like, let's just shove it full more of music. Yes.
Yeah, it's incredible. It really is. It's like nothing else I've ever seen in any city I've ever been in.
It's crazy, right? And then you don't have credit. Like, I guess like the East Coast is really where like the music credit kind of comes in, and Vancouver doesn't necessarily have the events, but Vancouver, the West Coast has the talent. Like,
has the people for sure. Yeah, what?
My
Mad musicians out here, but there's not what there's going on in Edmonton. I'll say that much.
No, they
Like,
don't show
it's even
way.
venues, like
No, the venues
things are closing down, and yeah, it's really sad out here actually. Yeah,
too bad, because it used to be I guess like the urban scene has never really been showcased the way that it should have been. I don't think. I
always say a place too rich, place too rich for art to truly thrive, because art often comes from struggle, true expression of society, what society is actually going through, actual citizens. That's what we're trying to express a lot of the time, not always, of course. Nothing is exclusive like that, but the West Coast is just, that's the easiest way to say it, is it's too rich, meaning there's that. So then the bougie stuff gets, sold out, but, and then the island actually is incredible, considering the fact that it's like the entire island is less than the population of the greater Vancouver area.
The island has always
and yeah.
No one really talks
about. But again, there's island vibes though. No one even knows. This Vancouver, it's like called Victoria Island, because that's how, like, no one talks about it. You know what I mean?
It drives me crazy.
Oh, I've seen it numerous times, and I'm just like,
you're like, it's Vancouver Island for real. Like,
but I thought that all around this island and the small islands around it and stuff, and there's things to do, there's places to play, hall on every
Vancouver Island represent. Yeah, Calico for real. Like, Vancouver Island, the thing about Vancouver Island is that because they have so much space, like how do I explain this properly? Demographically, you guys have everything that you need to make like a little, it's 3 times the size of Jamaica, and Jamaica does it just fine, right? So it has all the things that it needs there. It could be, what do they call it? The 100-mile diet. You don't need to leave Vancouver Island in order to live or be successful or anything. Everything that you need is already there. But it also has like a negative effect because we don't need, or you don't need anything. It doesn't get like the push as it should in
absolutely. And something I realized when I moved out here was the musicians are okay with like just doing, Victoria, Nanaimo, Port Alberni, Tofino, Campbell River, Cumberland. Yeah. Whereas I'm like, yo, let me go. Like,
you're like, we got places to be, man. We gotta get that.
There's so many places to go. Take this beauty, take this reality, take your talent that you spent in your parents' basement, creating, curating and making excellent, and pump ball out of them. It's islanders. At the end of the day, islanders will be islanders no matter where we are. It's kind of like a.
Everyone's so
yeah, we chilling. We like, man, water, the ocean day, the nature day, lakes and mountains and hikes. People probably think I'm crazy. They're like, where you going, bro? I want to see the world. I want to see everything. They're like, good. I go down by the beach and drink some lucky or whatever it is.
Lucky.
For real. I've never been in a place where they're incredible with their craft beer and bougie with it, and then also just drink the most disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to talk ill about Lucky because I'll lose half of my followers. But
it's not. I'm not even saying anything against it. I'm just saying what a bizarre thing where you could be looking at a guy who paid $11 for his beer, and then looking at the guy right next to him, lying with him, who paid $11 for his whole 15 or whatever.
Yes.
That is mad. That's cool though. Like, because again, it eradicates that like stushness. Like I don't know what the bougie, the bougie, that bougie vibes.
Yeah. The craft market there is like no other. Like, I mean, the beer, the wine, the whiskey, the gin, the vodka, even the luxury market knows what it's doing out there for sure. And I mean, the non-luxury market knows what it's doing. People are out there eating salmon for $20 a fish. And we're, out here, we're getting like $20 for like a piece like this, right? So, I mean, people are eating good, right? $10 a crab. I mean, frick, $20 for like whatever it is, like a bunch of prawns or whatever, right? It's like the food is good and the even the items, things for sale, the clothing, like
they have artisan markets and
especially like over on like Salt Spring Island and like Cortez, like those. I don't even think half of those.
Right now. Salt Spring Island.
Salt Spring.
Yeah, that's what you're looking at.
Oh man, yeah, it's amazing. That's so funny. I actually. That's so funny. I didn't know. I should probably read your EPK. I just like jumped on. It's like,
no. I don't mention Salt Spring on my EPK. I keep it to Victoria. So anybody watching, just Victoria.
Leave Salt Spring alone. You don't need to go over there. It needs to stay untouched.
It's not even like for it's selfish. It's not for Salt Spring. It's for me, so that I could just like show up and buy my coffee and no one talks to me.
Yeah.
Which it depends on where I go now, but for the most part, people are just like, hey, what's up, Caleb? And they know who I am and they know what I do, and it's great because it's just like it don't really matter. He's the dude that lives somewhere on South Spring, and I'm like, yes, exactly, I like it.
Yeah, I dig it. That's so funny. That's kind of the nice. That's like the nice place. Or the nice space or like whatever it needs to be when you're like you find a place to call home and then you don't have to worry about like the heavy pressure of your job, right? Because your job is amazing. To be a musician is amazing, and it's such an honor and all that. But that doesn't come without hard, like serious.
Yeah, the work is crazy. Like, thankfully, it's one of those things where I've put so much work in over the years. My resume is so crazy that like. Now my work is mostly showing up and performing.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Like that. I mean, I'm not a musician, but as a musician's daughter, and I come from a pretty long line of either like, people who build instruments or musicians themselves or great DJs. Shout out to my grandpa. I can appreciate the fact that you're in that place, because in order to get there, you have to put in a whole bunch of sweat equity, man. Like you don't just wake up one day and be like, I just get to roll in and play my stuff. Like that is years, not hours. That's years of like putting it down for people to know what they need to be listening to and self-promoting and hustling the albums and everything when they were actually albums. And then you guys got to do it up on the internet now. And
it's like trying to switch your whole
industry changes all the time, right? Like it used to be like trying to get the radio to play it, and then it was trying to push the $20 albums for $10 because it was all people would buy them for. Actually, tell me about that for you. Like when you remember when we kind of went from like having like a collection of music to having like music being broken up and just flogged off one single at a time. Like how do you kind of find ways for people to understand your music as a body of music? Do you still try and make a body of music the same way as before, or are you kind of more focused on just like putting out tons of singles? You have to pardon me because I kind of went down your YouTube rabbit hole, but other than that,
and YouTube is probably the place that I'm least present, to be honest. Which I understand the negativity of that for someone who wants to like be famous or something, but I don't, so I'm good. I have videos. I'm good. Like, it doesn't mean I'm not gonna, obviously, as I release music, like working on a music video like soon for an upcoming single and stuff. But it's funny you asked that because I was thinking about that just today, like how I need to really stay focused because I've been dropping singles.
Yeah.
And I have to stay relevant and stuff, But so now I'm like, okay, what I need to do is figure out which one of them I'm okay with being singles that then end up on the album anyway.
Right.
And then which ones are like my curated golden nuggets that you all had to wait. And then those who truly want to listen to me will see it. And listen to it.
Oh yeah.
So of course, randomly it could end up on one of those songs could end up on a playlist or 100,000 playlists. Who knows, right? No. But it's kind of by chance. But I want someone, generally speaking, to press play and dedicate an hour to like experiencing this thing that I just poured out for you. So what I'm trying to do right now is figure out the balance of that, where I am unrealistic, so therefore I need to face the reality of that and say, Caleb, you're being unrealistic, and then say, okay, then how do we find a happy medium? And the truth is that the happy medium will only exist for those who want it. So therefore, I don't actually need to compromise that much. I'll release singles that will end up being on the album, just like most people have always done, but it's just been on radio instead, which hopefully it gets on radio too. But so right now I'm working on multiple albums, one with my new project, Sonic Alley. That might be an EP. We have 2 songs completely done, like mastered, sensational songs, among my best that I've ever been a part of creating, because these guys are just so incredible. And then so look out for that, Sonic Alley. And then I have my own album that I've been working on for 5 years now. So I released 11, my last album in 2019, and pretty much immediately started working on another album, but then the pandemic happened. So that went and through it all kind of mayhem took place. So there's a bunch of singles I've released that I'm like, yo, them had to get on the album for sure. And then there's actually songs prior to that, like prior to 11 and prior to, that never got on a record that are like, I realized because it happened in the transition between CDs and streams, it kind of got like, it's like among my lowest stream songs, like it kind of got left in the dust. But then when I perform them live, which I have been for almost a decade, people are like singing every lyric, loving it, and I'm just like, what the hell, this is weird. Okay, so then I'm looking all the way back to 2015 when I released a song called Beautiful Disaster and going, I think I need to redo Beautiful Disaster and put it on this album that I'm working on. And that's crazy. So that new album is called Forward to the Roots.
All right.
And it's going to be jam packed. There's going to be interludes. There's going to, like, you name it. I'm
Goodness.
yeah, it's going to be mad. Like 26 songs is my plan, or my
What?
current count.
Oh, that's exactly
Yeah.
what I mean. Somewhere along the way, like I remember getting what was like the first one that was like I guess probably like uh probably 2001, like Dr. J, right? I don't know if you ever heard that album, but it's like it's got
Yeah, of
more
course.
interludes than probably any other album, right? And then it's got the secret
Right.
song back, like song, I think it was like track 22 or something like that. And like that really, I think that was like my first real experience with what that kind of felt like. And I was like, what? Like, this is amazing. Because it makes you feel like you're a part of something, right? And then you can experience the music
Absolutely.
that it's supposed to be. And it started kind of connecting the dots for me, like the difference between like what Snoop Dogg had going on with the East Side Boys, like the East Siders, and then what like Eminem with Shady, and like I just didn't understand like production before that. So I was like, well, what is
Right.
Dr. Dre? What, like, because I knew who they were, but I didn't understand
Yeah.
from like a production standpoint. So that kind of
Totally.
brought it all home. And I don't know. I mean, there is other albums that do that, obviously, because that was many, many years ago now. But I I definitely thrive. Like I look for that in music now. I feel like I crave that so much, and I feel like we lost it. Napster kind of stole that from us, and YouTube. I mean, they're trying. Spotify is kind of trying. They're trying to kind of bring that back, but without the artist really wanting to give us that experience, then it kind of just falls flat, anyways, right? Like, so I'm
I
super.
mean, most of us are doing what we have to do.
If
And
that's
I'm privileged to be at a point where I don't have to do that necessarily. So there's the happy medium. Yes, I do, but no, I don't. Like, I kind of do, but I also don't. Like,
yeah.
for example, Thames just dropped her album last Friday, and she's an Afrobeat artist. Most people who like Afrobeats know who Thames is, but the world may not know who Thames is. But she just dropped her album last Friday, and it has already become the number one most listened to album by any female Nigerian artist in history.
Oh,
Yeah, it's already done that. Okay.
that's amazing.
So there is value. Not everything is because the industry says it is that way. So yes, Thames released a ton of singles over the last however 5, 6, 7 years, and became Thames, the known artist, right? Like, doing her thing, performed at the Grammys, I want to say, etc., right? And then boom, drop an album on us that has now done what any single was trying to do, what a lot of people are trying to do with singles. So now it's a little different with artists that are up and coming now, because they came into the industry with CDs gone already. So if you have the culture of what currently exists already, if you are a Spotify listener or Apple Music listener or a Tidal listener, and you know that you like your random songs that are just show up, if that's how you like, and then you become, or you are an artist that is creating music, then you are going to curate for that, for other people who think like you. That's inevitable. Is what I mean. I'm not saying it's necessarily on purpose. It just is inevitable. But then you have a guy like me.
Yeah. Like, we've created that industry now, like, because it never really existed, but because it happened necessity, right? It's what we've all become. We've all adapted to it, and now the artist. Yeah, I never really thought about that, because I was like,
so the artist is doing what the artist is also a consumer.
Yeah, right.
But then you have a guy like me that I grew up on. Like, I didn't grow up on actually being able to buy albums. I grew up in Tobago, quite poor, and we used to get mix tapes from the side of the road.
Yeah.
And then that became mix CDs. But my sister Walkman was the first way I listened to what wasn't just on the radio. You know what I mean?
Mixtapes down there got like 150 flipping songs on them. Like, I don't know.
So So if you listen to my music, you understand why I don't even know what I'm doing genre-wise, because I'm just singing and chanting and rapping, and really, I make so much sense if you know that reality about the Caribbean, you know what I mean? And then radio and hits and stuff as well. So I'm so influenced, right? Up here is like, well, for years it was like, and you still see it in some fests, but it's gone broader now, thankfully. But it's like you see a genre festival, you know, or whatever, and then you see like a genre night on the radio and stuff like that, and that exists everywhere. However, when you grow up with then it's gonna be that. So then, as an artist, when I create an album, what I am doing is kind of random too.
Right. Okay. So it's a bit more eclectic.
So I'm taking a randomness and making it make sense.
Beautiful.
And that is so cool, because then, like, I don't, I'm not gonna create. I'll probably never create that flawlessly flowing album from 1 to 12 or whatever it is. I know some guys that have done that. I've been featured on some albums that are like that, and just as the first song is about to end, they start the second one at the end of the first one, so it flows in. I'm like, whoa, that was so cool, but it's not really my style, you know what I mean? But what will inevitably happen with artists is we'll reflect what we like, and then our version of that. So the problem or the struggle with guys like me who've been doing it from CD to now is like, oh, how do I do what I like want to share? How do I share what I want to share with y'all and still get more than 5 people hearing me? Because I've performed for hundreds of thousands of people, but if my social media numbers don't look like it, you know what I mean? But I get recognized in every airport I fly through, you know what I mean? But people don't think so, you know what I mean? So my numbers ain't reflecting that. But Tasman Jude CDs were slinging, like, we sold tens of thousands of those CDs. And then by the last CD, which was released in 2016, probably 2,000, because what are CDs? Oh, I don't even have a CD player in my car anymore. Your laptop don't have it. So my first album, not my 2 EPs that are released in 2016 and 2017, but my first album, 11, I put it on a USB stick made of wood, and I carved 11 into it, and Caleb Hart featuring track 7 onto it. And that sold a few thousand. I sold a few thousand of those. And now I'm almost at 1 million streams on Spotify of that album. But I made, obviously, I actually made money off of the USBs because they were a physical thing. Now, that's 2019, okay? It has only been 5 years, and people almost don't have a place to put their USBs.
I was just going to say, but what happens when that dies? Because, I mean, that's almost...
And I knew it would. I was like, this is too big, da-da-da. So but I was like, I know it's not going to be CDs, but I want people to have a physical work of art that they can keep forever that I created. Yeah. So I did. And I swear to you, it was the only year you could have done it, pretty much. Because then the pandemic hit, and then the next thing you know, everything was USB-C anyway.
That's what. So you were just like right ahead of the trend, like perfect time.
Like, because I was like watching, I was like, Jed, what do? I want people to have physical. So people are going, oh, we'll buy your CD. I'm like, thanks, Bob. But I can't spend thousands of dollars because Bob, Susie, and then lug them around hoping that 1 or 2 people out of 200 are going to buy my CD.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't do that. Sorry. So I also did a pre-order of vinyls and sold 100 limited edition of 11. And then, so only 100 people own my album 11 on vinyl.
That's amazing.
99 actually, because I have one.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah, that I love that.
So little ways to just kind of, but again, like how you tell someone who is I guess, selling less than me, how you show them how to do it, I don't know. Because even mine was risky, right? It is. It's like, so you have to figure out ways to do it. And the pre-order was one way, but kind of the only way, really, because otherwise you risking vinyl, temperature differences, real heavy, etc. And you touring around with that in the hopes that somebody likes you and then somebody buys it.
Right.
And you need to sell more than 1 or 2 per night to actually make it worth it.
So yes, whatever. Yeah, totally.
So yeah, I think the real key these days is you release your singles, you up your popularity, monthly listeners, etc., followers, and then save a really good single for last.
Right. Yeah.
Drop that one, put some money behind it, right? PR money, and then put the album so that album, Spotify and Apple Music and stuff goes, hey, you remember that song you've been listening to on repeat and da. This man just dropped an album. And then for the 1% of those 100 people, I'm saying 100 people, but you know what I mean, 1 in every 100 that will actually give a flying answer about your record.
Code, to be honest, like that sounds like kind of how we consume it, right? Like that's pretty much exactly how we consume it. As soon as that last single goes out and it just lights everything up, then we're like, where is everything else? And if there's not an album to back it up, then you're just dead in the water.
Precisely. So you have to be real smart about that too, because otherwise you're doing it wrong. You're hyping everybody up. People are wanting you. So even if it's 1% of 100,000, right? That's quite a bit of people that want you. And then you're going, oh, and you're not dropping anything. Nah, you had to be real specific, real intentional with it. You know what I mean? So, but it is difficult because every single person with access to the internet could upload a song to Spotify.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah. Everyone's an artist.
Combing through, I like to use the analogy of I'm attempting to provide a fine dining experience for your ears at an affordable price. But we are in the McDonald's generation.
It's so true. It's so true. People don't want to pay for quality nothing, man. We messed it all up with IKEA, right? Everyone got cool furniture for like whatever. Who knows? But yeah, we've totally taken it all.
Yeah, the difference is I'm not asking you to assemble the song on your own. I'm giving everything.
It's all the pieces are there. You don't even need the little Allen key or nothing.
I'm giving it all to you. A lot of us are doing everything inclusive of music videos as well.
Your
uploading all the lyrics and stuff like that.
Like, I don't care how many views or followers or whatever you have. Those music videos that you put out are full on like Columbia House record type stuff. Like
Fire.
I go back like, wait, am I still like wait a second? You know what I mean? Because I turned it on and was just like doing my thing. I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll just like, do some dishes and whatever.
Totally.
And I like would like the whole time I just
peek around.
like, what?
Like, is that Caleb? Is that also Caleb? Because I just heard a ballad. Now we're in a soca song. Yeah, trust me, I know. My biggest pro and my biggest con.
The whole thing, yeah, right. Like, man, this guy is talking about how many people at the Tadmark Theater. Like, this video is like on fire. What happened at the Tadmark? But it makes sense if it was a pandemic and all that craziness.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so.
I mean, even then, it doesn't really matter because that place doesn't always sell much anyway. It's like that whole venue. I wouldn't base anything off of that.
I only have had like ridiculously good experiences because I opened for the Whalers right before the pandemic.
Yeah, no, I have nothing negative to say about them. I just mean people don't really know what's happening down there. That's the problem.
No, for sure. I've heard this from multiple staff. They're like, "Wow, you're so blessed. You keep getting like," because I've played now opening 2 sold out shows, the Whalers and Alex Cuba. So 2 separate 5 years apart, and then in between did one of the pandemic shows. So it's like, oh.
Yeah.
So next step is next year for my album release to sell out Tadmark Theater as Caleb and that's
yeah. I think even the first time, like Alex Cuba was probably one of my earlier, yeah, I want to say he was probably one of my first like shows that I did by myself there. And yeah, I wasn't. I mean, he maybe only sold a handful of tickets, really. Like,
Right.
yeah. And then he came and he kicked it outside, right, for like the live streets thing, and it was like a couple hundred. And then the last time he did good. But I mean, it's like because people don't. It's like they buy. You get like the season ticket holders the first go around, and they're just like, oh, it's
Right.
the package kind of thing. Like, oh,
Another show.
yeah,
Cool.
totally.
Yeah.
And they leave, they're just like, it was a top tier performance by a totally wicked artist. They weren't expecting that. They had no idea what they were going there for most of the time. And then it's word of mouth after that, right? Next time he goes in there, people are like, oh yeah, this dude's totally happening, right? But yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of people go to shows they're not knowing at all what they're getting themselves into. But
Absolutely.
their programmer is so on top of trends. Like I'm assuming it's the same person. She knows exactly what she's doing. Like people need to trust her more because she's been knowing for years like that. She spends a ton of time knowing what's happening. And I'm like, why did this show only sell 100 and whatever tickets, man? Because you know it's going to be good, but it's just it's an old blue collar town that's fine.
Totally.
Around. Like it's not quite Victoria, and Courtney Comox is a little bit more ahead of the game, and I think the Tide Mark. I mean, it's not quite the same as when I was there, but I think they're battling kind of the backwoods tailgate party, which is what people tend to do out there because one, it's cheaper.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, why would they go to the Tide Mark when they can go to the beer and have a lake? They can go to the lake.
Go to the beer and have a lake.
Yeah. Right.
No, but you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Right. It's beautiful out there, but yeah, very cool. I just looked at the time. We're gonna have to start wrapping this up, my darling.
That's life.
I know. What a beautiful conversation. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. I really
I did not feel like an hour. That's crazy.
Right? Yeah.
That's a good sign.
Well, if you, just let me know what you got going on because I have no problem playing it. Your music is definitely therapeutic, that's for sure. I absolutely enjoyed it the last little while. It's sometimes, sometimes reggae music is so necessary. I know all music is therapeutic for all sorts of reasons and whatever, but
sure.
I'm an island girl too. I'm actually from one of the islands, not far from you right now, and I think we both. Jamaica's not that far either. So from island to island, we definitely have a lot in common there. But if you guys haven't already, please go check out Caleb Hart. His music is so wonderful. You can play it pretty much anywhere at any time. It needs no introduction really. And you can play it loud and not offend your neighbors because it's that easy.
Fight time.
Yeah. Thank you, Caleb, so much for joining me tonight. It is
my pleasure.
Oh, the pleasure is absolutely all mine. And whenever you want to come back in, kick it with me, I would love to have you on. So please.
Sounds good.
Thank you. All right, you guys. Happy Thursday, everyone. Stay safe out there. Do your thing. Don't do anything crazy but just do it safely, please. There's enough going on in this world right now.
Exactly.
Sure. Can probably turn on some tunes. I should have had your music queued up if I was ahead of the game here. And so what I need to start doing is getting people's music that I'm interested in. But for now, we're listening to New Drive. Yeah. Okay. For a couple months, a little while back.